Hi, Gadget UK here again. This time another extra channel video on a Drayton valve switch, I think it is, mid-position actuator. So the model number is MA1. It's an interesting thing. What's cool to me is the manufacturer Drayton. My friend Dr. Andrew used to work at Drayton Controls, I think it was, and then he also works at Honeywell. And yeah, if you know anything about heating, plumbing, cooling, etc., Drayton and Honeywell were synonymous and still are as a parts provider. I am wondering how you get in this because those nuts there are captive. There's nothing here. It's going to be an interesting one. Looks clipped on the bottom there. Yes, mostly a sealed unit, and obviously it's clipped here. Anyway, it's going to be an autopsy on this. So the way this works is it sits over the top of the valve like a head here. So if you imagine on your central heating, you've got a tiny little valve on a T-junction or something that sits up. The surface of it is raised, and you could put your fingers on it and manually twist it. And the gas engineer himself did that, and it goes into that hole there, into a little rectangular cavity that matches the shape of it, and it's capable of just rotating it one way or the other. And it's like, when I say T, it's like a splitter thing. So you've got your hot water pipe for heating, and one for your hot water, heating or hot water. And you get it off the top of the valve there by just squeezing this in. This sort of grabs on or releases. So all you do to get it off is reach around for this thing here, press it in, and it lifts off. It's dead easy. And then obviously this, is wired into your central heating somehow. I'm not sure whether it's going to be mains powered. It probably is. It's probably got like live, neutral, and then a control signal also. There's actually 5 wires going to this. Now the engineer did just say, it's just got micro switches in it, but it's got a motor. It's got a motor because it's got to move the valve. Anyway, let's have a look. So yeah, this stopped working. British Gas have just been out to replace it, and I pointed it out. He's like, what do you think, what's the issue? And I'm like, it's that valve. And he went, what do you mean, how do you know it's that valve? And I'm like, well, the behaviour to me suggests it's that valve. So he checked it all out and was like, yeah, it's that valve. Well, I said the valve, not the valve, this, not switching the valve. And the telltale sign when you get a problem with something like this is your heating doesn't come on. So yesterday I was putting it on boost, heating wasn't switching on, the boiler wasn't starting up, and I'm like, that's weird. And I went to the Hive hub thing, and there's 2 LEDs, and it showed it flashing as if it's trying to engage, but it wasn't doing anything. So I thought, I'll switch the hot water on, the boiler comes on. And then I thought, I bet it's that valve, so I moved the valve over. The hot water's on, the radiator started heating up, and I'm like, yep, that's the issue. So anyway, the rest is history. That's it, it's been swapped out now. But I thought, since it's Drayton, and Andrew worked at Drayton, and well, anything Drayton or Honeywell, I'm always curious to see how it's assembled. Yeah, I am breaking this to get in it. Wow, that's more complicated than I imagined. Synchron, I think it says on it. It's obviously a motor, but yeah, I'm curious what's gone wrong. Is it a bad solder point? Is it a micro switch? Is it the motor? How does it even come to pieces? Oh, there's a screw there. Yes, this is one of the ones that's in the captive nuts in the plastic here. Yeah, I'm always curious to tear things down just to see. Well, the one he's put on, it looks to be the same model. It's probably even another Drayton one. So yeah, you never know. At some point I may need to. How do you get that one out? Oh, it's right down here. So that's the earth. I've got an earth going to that. Yeah, and when I was saying about live and neutral, yeah, don't forget about earth. You always need an earth. It probably wouldn't be legal to sell in the UK and use if it didn't have an earth. So that explains 3 of the connections. So what are the other 2? I don't know. One to switch it on, one to sense it maybe. Sense which position it's in, something like that. So we've got a little spring thing there to do with the actuator. How does this come out of this now? So there's 2 screws on this side here. So let's get that one out. My guess is the motor's failed, but, well, what do I know until I get in it? So, if I have a look at this, oh my god, that's complex. Yeah, there's the motor, and it obviously rotates this thing here to get leverage. Oh, that's quite cool. So yeah, you can see how that works. It's going to move this here. See if I can do it. So, yeah, there's something, it's latched on, isn't it? If you look at this here, it can sit into a recess. I don't know how that would work. Like, I can't move it. Why can't I move it? Can I move it that way? I can move it that way. Yeah, there's the micro switch, look. So it might be that just got dirty. Resistors look alright. Solder points look okay, I want to say. Yeah, I don't see any dry joints there. You know, a bit of flux on them, but you're going to have that sort of thing from manufacturer. So two really large springs here, look. One pulling it that way and one pulling it that way. So why doesn't this want to go to the right? Have you got to lift it up? No, you don't. Well, that is interesting. Like, how do you get it to go to the right? And this thing here is mysterious to me as well. Like, I always thought that was an adjustment. It's not. It just indicates, I think, where it's at. Because it's on a piece of plastic here. As we move that, you can see it move. So that's an indicator, not something you move. Because I'm like, why is that so stiff? Well, that explains it. Let's pull this little board out. Can we pull that board out? Oh yeah, it might be an idea to undo that screw. Just because, well, it's pulling it downwards, isn't it? It's going to stop us getting that board out. Yeah, Andrew would always talk about Drayton controls with a fond voice, you know, fond memories. And the same with Honeywell. It's funny we do that with jobs, isn't it? We hated jobs so much, and then we're like, we always remember the fond part. The fond memories of jobs. And I'm sure Andrew was no different. Well, it's a mystery to me what holds that in. You know, the PCB doesn't want to come out, I was going to say, no. Yeah, there's like a little notch in the PCB that corresponds with this. So to get it out, you've probably got to wiggle it, hang on, left and right, like that maybe. See, like, now it's caught on the right, now it's caught on the left, now it's caught on the right, now it's caught on the left. Oh, that's it. So, that's come out. Yeah, you can see what I mean here. See the little slots? The slot. You've got to ease it over the two slots on the inside of those little channels there. So, that still doesn't move to the right, which is interesting. Well, how does that go to the right? I don't know. That might be the issue. Maybe there is some fault with this where it's jammed on one side. Anyway, there's the motor. Just looking to see if it's like voltage rating marked or something. 5 RPM. Ooh, that's a fast bad boy, isn't it? 5 revolutions per minute. It needs to be like that though, I guess. Because if it moves too quick, well, it's going to have an incredible time moving the thing, and it look, 2 mic switches. It's interesting, that one's like soft to press, and that one's like travels further and does a really big click. Yeah, so if there were to be a fault on something like this, it's going to be your motor, dry joint, passives. Well, I can't imagine those burning out easily, or the mic switches. Just curious to work out if there's any way you could service those, like spray contact cleaner in. In theory, you could get contact cleaner through that little hole there, and it's kind of near where the micro switches are, but they're here. Similarly, that hole there that's underneath that thing, that might be your best bet. If you were to try and, you know, spray through that nozzle there, upwards that way, like that angle, yeah, you'd have to squeeze this like that. I'll show you. Squeeze this like that, get your nozzle of your spray can like that there. then if you were to spray contact cleaner, you might get some contact cleaner in those micro switches. So there you go, that's one thing to try. If you're watching this video and you've got one of these and it doesn't seem to be working, you know, squeeze this in to pull it off and spray at the angle I've just suggested. Switch it off first, switch your heating off, central heating off, and don't take any chances of electrocuting yourself, whatever you do. Yeah, so that, how does that come? That just comes to, oh wait, yeah, hang on. I was going to say, does that go through that? Yeah, it does. Oh, grease, I think, a little bit of grease there. And that comes then through there. There we go. It's off. So you can see some fuzziness there. There's some lime scale somehow got onto that. Or is that grease? No, it's just grease. Because of course, if there was any lime scale on that, that would indicate a leak somewhere. The last thing you want is a leaking valve, but yeah, it's not marked in terms of voltage there. Oh, it is 230 volts, 50 hertz. So there we go. It's an AC motor, maybe rectified with that diode. I don't know. So maybe it's not AC. Maybe it's half-wave DC. I'm quite amazed how simple that thing is. So yeah, we're nearly there, aren't we? So the thing I still don't understand is, how is this? So you can rotate it that way. Oh, hang on. Oh, it's a what? What is it? I don't know. As you pull this, oh, you can latch it. Hang on. Well, you could latch it. Now you can't. Was that the problem? Because, like, now after going further that way, you can see it's released itself up to move. So was that the issue? What seemed to be going on before is this went there and was latched on that somehow. It was stuck here. Now it isn't. I don't know. That just seems alright now, doesn't it? Maybe the grease all just dried up here. See, that pulls in and out, so I don't know. It's one. Oh, it pushes in. That's it. So when you pull it to the right, now it's not doing anything. You've got to pull it out. But then what moves that out? I'm wondering whether I've jammed that when I moved it across. You know, maybe. Yeah, I reckon that's the issue, you know. I reckon the issue with this is that has always been pushed in, and it shouldn't have been pushed in. So in order to deal with that, you probably have to clip it off, and then I reckon you pull this up like, hang on. No, you can't pull it up now. Oh, there you go. You've got to be pulling up this way, like that, as you lift up. So now it's in a position where it can go like that, and it can go like that. So if this was being moved by the motor now, let's try and simulate what would happen. If we go like that, and it goes, hang on. Doesn't need to use this latch though. Is this the thing, that if it can't latch, then it can't hold the position? I don't know. I don't know how that works. Look, it just pops out that. Is there a spring on it? Like what's making it pop back out there? And why is it now floating around? Oh my goodness. I'm completely mystified by that. I really am. It feels like this wants to fall off. Is there a spring missing from this? Is it something pull this back in? Clearly not. And these two springs just operate on the whole thing. So I honestly don't know. If you understand this, post in the comments down below, like, what does that? Why is it latchable? I would assume it's latchable so you could do that. You could just permanently put it on one side, but then does that not defeat the purpose of having it on an adjustable thing with a motor? I don't know. And if we look at the metal teeth there, I mean, they're good as new. There's grease on them, there's no issues. So when you think about it, there's so few parts to fail on these. There's the motor itself, dirty switches, and then, well, other than dry joints, potentially grease seizing up and causing some sort of problem, but you can see that it's just latched on that side. But that might make sense though, because that seems to be, you seem to be able to push that in. Maybe you wouldn't want to, there you go, maybe you'd want it like that, where this is extended out so the motor can go, but then when the motor's off, would the torque of this spring be sufficient to rotate it back again? I don't understand the actual latching mechanism here, if that's something to do with when it moves to the right, is it supposed to latch there? Yeah, you can see as we do that, watch the surface here, I'm pulling it down, the whole lot is tilting down. How would that be a thing? Would that ever tilt? Because what you imagine when there's plates on there, and the gears through that part there, it's never going to tilt. Right, that's the position clearly the gear goes, somewhere here, so it's going to go like that, but maybe that way up. No, because nothing, oh yeah, there you go. So, it's still a mystery to me. Even if that's on there, it doesn't change anything. If you look at this here, this can tilt. When these screws are in place, there is some movement there so that you can, hang on, yeah, tilt it up and down. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. They understand everything about this, apart from this latchy weird thing here. Being able to pull it out makes no sense to me. I mean, it's stuck on this notch here, but you can lift it above it and it goes that way. It would make sense to me if this was sprung, like, it comes up here, latches, and then it moves a bit further, unlatches it, and then it's able to go back. That would make sense, but I don't see how. I don't see how that would work, unless there's a spring internal to that somewhere. Anyway, I mean, I could test it. I don't think I want to connect mains up to it. To be honest, those wires are pretty aged and brittle. The rubber's got a bit aged on them, let's say. That would have been white originally. It's not very white now, is it? Yeah, so like mic switches, I might reclaim those. You can use those mic switches to fix something. Yeah, looking at how it's wired here, you've got white, red, motor connection, neutral, motor connection. The live comes in the centre contact of this edge mic switch here. So yeah, it looks like the live goes through this first mic switch, and it goes either to the right pad, which goes over to the white wire, and via the resistor that taps off there from that live connection as well at that point through the switch, or the other side of the switch goes across to one of the motor contacts. So that's interesting. I'm guessing it's like in one position it senses AC somewhere there on one of the wires, maybe the white wire, and then in the other position it connects the power to the thing there. The other mic switch, because it's offset here, that's going to be to, there's a difference between these. It's working out. It's moved across. Yeah. And that one goes between also the white wire. You've got a contact to each of those mic switches on the white wire. Interestingly, this mic switch here's got 4 contacts, unless there's something in the middle. I don't think there is, it's just a plastic divider. Yeah, it's got 4 contacts, that mic switch. Yeah, anyway, I am going to scrap this. I can't imagine this being particularly expensive to replace. 20 quid I reckon is probably the value of something like this, maybe 30 quid at most. We can test a few things out, I guess. We can test the mic switch. Is it going clicky click? I mean, I've pressed it that many times now, even if it wasn't working. I'd imagine it probably is now. Now bear in mind, these are going to be connected one way. I'll have connectivity somewhere here. Oh, maybe not. I think that mic switch is the issue, to be honest. Yeah, get some resistance there. That one. So it's the mic switch, I think. Let's try the other one. This one's really clicky, this mic switch. What? Yeah, so the outer contacts, hang on. Well, they were making the connect. There we go. It's really mysterious how that mic switch has got 4 contacts on it. The outer ones join when you go over that one and that one, when you press the inner switch there. I'm not sure that's right, because there's so many contacts on it. I reckon it should be toggling the other way as well. So maybe both mic switches have an issue here. Where's the bleeding contact there? You can hear it clicking, but if I try and probe these things, resistance there, not a short. Resistance there, not a short. So, well, that's pretty much all combinations generally, and nothing there. So yeah, it looks like micro switches have failed. Maybe we should do an anatomy of the micro switches. Yeah, I'll get the soldering iron on. We'll take these off. So I'm not going to be reusing those for anything unless I can clean them up. May as well disconnect that. I mean, the positive thing with that is, you know what, I'll keep that motor, because I reckon that motor's alright. Nothing wrong with that motor. It's just going to be micro switches, I think. So it's always useful to fix another one of those, maybe. Even a section of wire like that might be useful for something. I might save that wire. Now I've seen that the mic switches are doing very little, the motor's going to be alright. There's very little chance the motor's the issue. Yeah, so using the desolder pump from Andrew Littleboy here. Mic switch clicked on them when I pressed it down. Nice big plug of solder there. Let's just give that another go. Single-sided PCBs. Thing is, really reliable. You know, this is the thing when you think about how many hours of operation this has had. This has been in use for this one for, I would say, about 12 years. The last time it was replaced was about 12 years ago. And you can imagine it getting quite a lot of operations as you know, depending on your heating schedule. You know, if your boiler's switching off, you know, over between the central heating and the hot water. Wow, that's absorbing a lot of heat. It's not an especially large rail. It's just the micro switch, I think, absorbing that. A nice big plug of solder. I like it when solder does that on that desolder pump. It's rare for it to do that, to be fair. There you go, it's coming off. Was it stuck? Stuck down, there we go. Yeah, so we'll have a look inside that in a minute. Is there a manufacturer on that? Yeah, it says XCG9K1548 ENEC. It's marked Switzerland on the other side, SAIA. And it's got a little diagram sort of showing you the layout of that switch. Yeah, there is a little image on it embedded in the surface of the plastic. So anyway, that's that one out. Yeah, so they are a bit oddball, these. It's not like the sort of one you're going to be able to stick into your cruiser joystick or something like that. So this one is marked Alco. But as you can see, yeah, it does have 4 contacts. It's really weird. Partner on the back, 1478380-1. It's really nice, that. It's one of these ones you can tell it's got like a conformal coating. If you look at it in the light, can you see it looks glossy on the underneath? Don't mistake that for any kind of liquid or lubrication. It's not. It's you know, it's been designed that way. They've dipped the bottom there, the plastic part of it at least, in some sort of conformal coating to seal the plastic edge. They don't really need to do it around the sides because, well, it may even be glued on the inside looking at it. And if I press the switch, I get resistance. Dirty switch contact. I think the best way to get inside something like that generally is carefully with a knife, like get right on the very edge. Use some magnification to assist, but if you get maybe onto the edge, be careful not to cut yourself. There you go, we're in. And then maybe just try and prise. It's surprisingly easy to get to that point, but then, well, I now can't. There we go. Can't get in. Try and lift that off. Oh, the notch just fell out. I'm just going to have a quick look. Yeah, I'll put you on the microscope so you can have a quick look inside. It's so cool though to be looking at something from Drayton. It reminds me of Andrew. Andrew was like, when I was at Drayton we did this, at Drayton we did that. I think he worked in the IT, but he was in engineering and manufacturing at various points in his career. So I don't know what exactly he did at Drayton, but anyway, he was at Drayton Controls. So you can see that just goes up and down like that. Yeah, you can see that looks pretty well worn, that top one. And that one as well. Let's just try and disassemble this a wee bit further. Let me pull out. I'm trying to think the best way of doing this. Pull this out. It's probably something that's going to ping off now. Hopefully not in the eye. Pull that out. Put that down. So we can inspect that actually. Let's just have a look at that. So this is your nice gold plated bit. Look at that. That's black. There you go. And yeah, that might be a thing. Is it? No, it's not. I was going to say sometimes they have like a carbon sort of thing. I don't think so. You want a nice clean contact. That's arcing, isn't it? It's been arcing. Might even be able to just fix this and put it back together and see it miraculously spring back to life. Yeah, you could use something a bit less abrasive or more abrasive, even like a fiberglass pencil. Let's just do that. Let's just go over it with a fiberglass pencil. But with gold plated contacts like that, fiberglass pencil's not a good idea. It could just get you out of a corner though if something like this was not working, you know, and you want it to just briefly work until maybe a new switch arrives or a whole new pump, you know, not pump, or a whole new MA1 or whatever. Yeah, that was just some arc corrosion. But can you see, look, the gold coating comes off, you know, where we've gone over the oversides here. Where we've gone over around the outside there, the gold surface has come off, and it's a bit pitted there. So, you know what, that wouldn't be working super reliably long term. This side here, again, it's the same thing, look. It looks pretty balked, if you ask me. Clean it that way. It's to a point as well, like a very sharp point there. That almost looks solder coated, doesn't it? It isn't, it's just worn. It might be silver plated, the end part. Anyway, that's that. So let's now have a look at this. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing, look. So we can probably do the same thing here. Can probably just pull these out, I think. Can we? Yeah, just lift that out. So we'll do with this one first. Put this one back in. If we have a look down there. I haven't got the lighting right. Look at that, that's well arced, that. That's had a hard life, switching like millions and millions of times. Yeah, and there should be, you know, it's like a conductive a notch. You know, it sticks out, is the point. Yeah, I think if you could get contact cleaner in there at the right angle, it might make a difference, but anyway, that's that. Get that one back in. Deoxit is the best thing to use on these rather than a fiberglass brush or a wire brush. You know, you want to be, you know, give them a chance if you want to reuse it rather than take abrasive things to it like that. That's that one. Let's get that one out. If you've never seen inside a micro switch before, though, this is generally how they all work. That is welded in there, that one. That's it. Again, look. It's on a hard life, that, isn't it? It's on a hard life, that switch. It's got a black bit welded into the middle there. That's why it was measuring like 700 ohms. And I'm not being very thorough cleaning these here, I'm just giving them a quick clean like that. We'll get that back into there, get the middle part back in, and just give it a try. They're not all this hard to deal with usually. That's it. Yeah, I mean, I can see a design thing or an issue, a quality thing with this, in that you'd expect that to be a bit further back this way. I mean, it hasn't deteriorated with age or anything, has it? You could argue this end has just got bent more up this way. You know, it's the sort of thing, if you wanted to try and perfect that, you could try and bend this here like that maybe, and this part. You know, ultimately this maybe over time has sagged a bit further. I don't know. Anyway, I reckon now if we try and get the catch back in, if I can find the flipping thing, here it is. Yeah, they're usually a lot easier to work with than this one. I think it goes like that. So let's just press it and see what happens. Hang on, if I can without. There we go. Alright, let's get the top back on, if I can find the flipping thing. Yeah, and it's worth inspecting in here. You can see like little sparks, you know, little sparks from arcs have gone onto here. So yeah, you know, you want to clean things like that. I'm not going to bother because I'm never going to reuse this, am I? Got to get the little notch at the top where the button is, and there we go. Yeah, from experience, when you put a mic switch back together like that, use some glue of some sort. It's different when it's screwed in. When you get screws through here, well, that's going to always remain secure. But the fact we've clipped it apart, yeah, it might ping to pieces really easily without assistance. So that's the sort of thing that if you can get away with it, you could put a cable tie around it if there's enough room, depending on, you know, as long as you're not adjusting the alignment of it. But you might want to, you know, put a dot of epoxy in the corners or some super glue or something. But you have to be careful with certain glues because they evaporate. Super glue is one of those. It'll evaporate, and when it evaporates, the cyanoacrylate or whatever it's called will land on contacts and things. You don't want things landing on contacts, do you? Because otherwise the switch might not work again. Let's try and press the button. Hang on. That's interesting. It's marginally better. We go. Hang on. We had a little click when it first goes on. Oh, hang on. Yeah, so we've got the always on. Hang on. Yeah, it's very difficult to hold the probes on there. The contacts over here, look, it's on all the time now. We didn't have that before. We had a resistance. And it breaks it. Hang on. Yeah. Hang on. Yeah, it's still intermittent. You can see that. I'm having to knock it around a bit. That's better. After a few actuations, it's now becoming reliable. So the middle connection, I think that was these two, wasn't it? Depending on which way round I've got it. Yeah. Yeah, that's still unreliable if you ask me. It's alright with the outer contact, not the middle contact. We've still got occasionally a bit of resistance, and I have to press it enough times and press the contacts a certain way. Yeah, you've got a resistance between the middle and that one there. So it's still not 100%. Yeah, you could clean that up further and I'm sure it'd be alright. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm not going to spend ages trying to fix that. So yeah, it's interesting looking at those. I mean, I could clip this one open. Yeah, I don't know whether I want to. Yeah, this one's more sealed. I don't want to go inside that one, I don't think, but it's just going to be the same kind of thing you've seen there. The difference there, we've got 4 contacts. It might be 2 independent switches or something like that that work off the same point or opposing, you know. Like one side goes on, one side goes off. It might be that kind of thing, but I don't think so. We measured on this one and it just goes all the way across, and I think those two are just like common mounting points. I'll save the screws and the springs and things like that. And the motor, I'll put that away as well. And I'll keep the mic switches despite the fact They're fluffy. I can save those things, those are useful. I'll take those off there as well. So for me it's just going to be a parts reclaim. What I could have done though is, you know, clean the microswitch up further, reassembled it all, and then I'm sure it would work good as new again. You can service it, you can even replace these if you want to be 100% confident long-term reliability. Just replace the things. I can't imagine it being that hard to source replacement microswitches. Please check out the main channel. We're not always doing things like this. We've got loads of repairs on the main channel, 800 and odd videos, lots of retro systems, lots of detailed repairs and things like that, you know, more complicated stuff, computer systems, consoles. If you'd like to support the channel, please see the Ko-fi and Patreon links down below. I'll catch you in the next video.